blue state, red state map that shows that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, won so much of the heartland. In the New York Times today, Paul Krugman has written an item, and that goes to show you. And who's in those red states? A lot of farmers and things like that. And that, in this New York Times editorial that's titled "Getting Real About Rural America," Paul Krugman talks a lot about the fact that that's where Trump is popular, and that's why right now all these Democrats are out in Iowa saying essentially, "Hey, farmers, I understand your pain."
Yeah, we actually have a quote from the article. It says, "And politically, rural America is increasingly a world apart. Not surprisingly, rural America is also pretty much the only place where Donald Trump remains popular. Despite the damage his trade wars have done to the farm economy, his net approval is vastly higher in rural areas than it is in the rest of the country." Now, that's one quote from the article. The article goes on to really be quite not so nice, shall we say, toward many folks in rural America. And it says crazy things. At one point, he's talking about, he says, white people living mainly in rural areas, for them it is about blood and soil, about traditional patriarchy and racial hierarchy. And I just wonder, you know...
He wrote that in a blog in 2016.
Oh, yeah, right, exactly. Okay, but the point is folks on the left here, you didn't get the message that when Trump won the election because you criticized vast parts of the country. Everybody who supported Trump was racist. Everybody who supported Trump was sexist. Maybe take a look at the fact that a lot of these Trump supporters, they voted for Donald Trump because he was a businessman. They were looking at their taxes. They were looking at their dinner table issues. So stop insulting whole segments of the country. Take a minute and say, wait a second, maybe we aren't addressing these issues in a way that people feel that we're actually reaching out to them and hearing what their needs are.
He also talked about how the Electoral College is unfair. And he said because rural voters matter even more because our political system gives rural voters hugely disproportionate weight to less populous states, which are also generally states with relatively rural populations. So in other words, the smaller states have the same kind of weight as the bigger states, and it's just not fair.
But, Steve, you also know that's not true because Texas
I'm just
has...
telling you what he said.
But he doesn't know how to do math. And that's why when you go to Paul Krugman's column, you know you could flip the page and not miss anything because he's just angry because everything he predicted from who's going to win the election to what's going to happen with the economy has turned on its head. So, therefore, he's rushing around looking for credibility, and that's not going to help him.